Hi, hello, hey. In this video, I'm going to be painting a landscape with these paints. And I don't usually paint landscapes, so we'll see how this goes. Yeah, this is Holbein's winter gouache set. And last time I used these, I did some little practice portraits because I was using them for the first time. But I really wanted to try painting a landscape with them. So I'm finally getting around to doing that. So since this is the winter set and I wanted to paint something kind of wintry, I went to a mountain and I did a hike to find a pretty reference photo. But yeah, and I filmed a little bit of it, so I'll show you how I got the photo. Hello, I'm on the lookout to find a good reference photo for this painting. I decided instead of like finding a reference photo like a normal person, I got to like take the photo. So I'm on a trail I've never been on before, and it's not winter anymore, it's spring, so it took me so long to get up here. But as you can see, there's still some snow. This trail is called like Mirror Lake Trail, and I guess the lake is really pretty and reflective, so hopefully it'll make a good painting, but I've never seen it, so we'll see. There's a bridge. That's pretty. This is the hike and fit. Very cute. Dun, 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 dun. It is wobbly. So it's a little wobbly.
Yeah, not too bad though. Just that one.
One at a time. Oh, this one's like off-centered. It's a little stream.
Whoa.
Oh my gosh. Okay, wait, this is a good spot. I'm gonna go down here.
Okay.
Hopefully this one's not as wobbly. There's no little bear. I definitely found the spot. The mountain. Is this the painting spot of my dreams? So pretty. 4 hours and 2 blisters later, I've almost made it back. Hopefully I got some good pictures. The hike was super pretty and there was lots of good spots that I thought would be good paintings, but obviously I had to go with the mountain, and so I found a spot that had some snow in front of it, and here it is. This is my favorite picture, so this is the one I'm going to be painting. And I feel like I was starting off very confidently with this giant piece of paper, and I just went in with no sketch or anything. And the only reason I picked such a big piece of paper, I was going to use a smaller one, but then honestly I think painting bigger is easier sometimes because you don't have to paint as small. And I'm glad I did paint this one bigger because I think it looks really nice now that it's bigger, and it was a lot easier than trying to paint all of this stuff on like a little tiny piece of paper. But yeah, so I just went in with no sketch, and I sketched it in with a paintbrush and just kind of like eyeballed it while like looking at the reference photo. I don't think I want to talk about the process much because like I said, I don't usually paint landscapes, so I didn't really know what I was doing. I was just kind of like following my heart and painting over stuff a lot. So I will say though, there is a strong ugly stage for this painting. Like I painted in these like weird tree shapes right there, and that made it look like super bad for a while. But I'm just going to talk about something else while it looks like that. So just be warned, it looks bad for a little bit, but after I properly paint in the trees, it comes around and it looks better. I was planning to talk about the hike up to get to this lake, but I actually went on a way more interesting hike this week. I hiked through the longest lava tubes in the continental US. And it was like these tunnels / caves formed by lava. So these caves are called the Ape Caves in Washington. And about a year ago, I think I saw like an Instagram reel about someone hiking through them. And I was like, whoa, that looks like really cool. And I was joking about doing it. And then I thought about it all year and I was like, you know, I think I actually do want to do that. So I got my mom on board. She wanted to go too. And luckily, she actually ordered us some headlamps for this hike because, fun fact, in these caves, it is pitch black and also like super duper cold, right? And I was like, we don't need like headlamps for this, right? Like that seems a little extreme. It's just like one little hike. And this hike, I think was like only like a mile long, like through the caves, but then you have to like walk back. So maybe it was like, I think it was like a mile and a half through the caves and then a mile and a half back, right? And I was like, we don't need like headlamps for that, right? Like we can just use flashlights. But she got some headlamps and I was like, okay, right? And we put them on, right? And I'll just skip to when we get there. I'm wearing this headlamp. And like I want you to know, like I'm not like an experienced hiker. I wouldn't even like call myself a hiker. I just like to go on hikes sometimes because I like to be in nature, right? And I feel like my first thought putting on this headlamp just like proves that, you know? Like, you know, not experienced hiker, but I put on this headlamp and I'm like, oh my gosh, like this is just like when I played this mountain climbing game on Roblox. This headlamp is just like that. Like I'm thinking, well, this is just like in a video game. Like I'm walking through these caves and I'm like, well, this is pretty cool, you know? And like it's pretty chill. And I just want to mention too, there's like 2 different hikes. There's like a super 1 mile easy flat hike and then one that's a little over a mile and like more difficult where there's like climbing involved and you gotta crawl through a tunnel and like it's a little more difficult. And obviously me being me, I chose to do the hard one because like, you know, if I'm gonna go, I might as well do the difficult one, right? And so yeah, my first thought while doing this difficult hike as someone who does not I don't do difficult hikes. I usually look up a hike and if it says that it's considered easy, then I'll do it, but otherwise like I'm not gonna do it. But yeah, so I'm doing this like hike that's considered a little difficult and I'm like, oh, this is just like a video game, right? And I'm walking through and honestly the cold thing, it was supposed to be like super cold. I didn't think it was super cold. I thought it was like a nice temperature. But it was like super dark and even with like the headlamp on, you couldn't really see like that far in front of you. And we're walking through in the first 5 minutes, the first thing we encounter is like this mountain of boulders just immediately. And I was like, oh yeah, well I knew there was going to be some boulder mountains you have to climb, right? And I'm climbing up here and like another thing, like I don't remember the last time I've climbed something, right? Like little me used to climb a lot of trees, but like I don't really do that on like a normal basis anymore, right? And I'm climbing this like mountain and I'm like, oh, you know, I think there was like 2 of these little like rock mountains, like it's fine. I climb up, you kind of gotta like go through this like little tight little tunnel at the end and I'm like, that's kind of trippy, right? And I keep going and there's like another climb, right? Let me tell you, for like an hour, it's climb up Boulder Mountain, climb down Boulder Mountain. And then it's like kind of flat for a little bit and then it's climb up Boulder Mountain, climb down Boulder Mountain. And it's like that for like an hour, right? So I'm climbing up and down these boulder mountains. And also, there is some spots where it gets kind of flat for a minute. But like the flat parts where there's not boulders isn't really flat. It was like the floor was almost like wavy, but like jagged. And all these boulders I had to climb, right? They were also all like pointy. And I didn't want to wear gloves because I thought it would like mess up like my traction. You know, I wouldn't be able to like grab stuff so I could climb them. And like my hands were starting to hurt, right? And we keep going and then it starts getting real. There's this spot where you have to climb a wall. And this wall is like flat, you know? Like there's no spot to like put your feet, right? It's like this flat wall. And I did hear about this wall, but it's like 8 feet. There's a rope. So I'm like, no problem, right? I go up to this wall and I hear there's a foothold too. And I look and I'm like, where's the foothold, right? I look up to this, like off to the side on the cave wall. There's a foothold on the cave wall, but we're not trying to climb the cave wall. We're trying to climb this other wall. So the foothold was in the complete wrong direction, wasn't even close. So that was like completely useless. So I'm looking at this rope. This rope has a little loop on the bottom and it has some knots. And I'm thinking like this rope is like not helpful either. So I'm like, I can grab from like the top of the wall, and on the top of the wall there's like some little spots on the rock I can grab, you know, so like maybe I'll grab that to climb up, right? And I'm sitting there forever trying to figure out how I'm gonna get over this wall. And my mom just looks at me and she goes like, just put your foot in the rope loop. And I'm like, oh. So I put my foot in the rope loop and then I climb up. And I'm like, oh, well, that's pretty easy, right? But then also this wall, it kind of like wasn't flat on top of it. It was kind of at like a little angle where you had to keep going up. So after I got up, I had to like crawl up. And again, everything in this cave is like kind of sharp. You know, like none of the rocks are smooth. So I'm crawling up and it's like kind of hurting my knees a little bit, right? But I get up and I'm like, ah, you know. My mom goes up. And then there's some people behind us that catch up, you know. And like it's this group of guys and I'm like, oh, should I tell them about putting your foot in the rope loop? And mom was like, nah, like you don't tell them, like it's fine. And I'm like, you know what, I'm gonna tell them, because like I'm dumb and it took me a minute to figure that out, right? And so I yell back there and I'm like, hey, people behind us, you know, put your foot in the rope loop. It makes it like way easier, you know. And the guys are all like I don't even know if they heard me. They look at me and they're like, huh? They're like, okay, yeah, whatever, you know, and like aren't really listening. And I'm like, well, you know, I tried to warn them. Like they didn't really seem to care, right? 5 minutes later, I'm like, you know, I'm moved on from that section, but I can like hear them because this cave's super echoey, right? I hear they got to the wall and they were struggling hard. I can hear them like cursing. Like it was pretty funny. I don't know if they didn't put their foot in the rope loop or what, but like I just thought it was funny. They were all like, yeah, whatever, and they got there and they were having a hard time. And then there was some more climbing, and then there was a section where you had to crawl through a tunnel. And this tunnel was somehow the worst part. Like I thought all the climbing was bad, because also with climbing, like I said, I haven't climbed in a really long time. I wasn't even sure that I could, like, lift myself up with my arms. But, like, I was like, you know, this climbing's fine. I can do it, right? But, like, I wasn't even sure if I could do it, honestly. But luckily, I could, apparently. But we get to this section where there's a little tunnel. And you have to crawl through this little tunnel. And it's, like, not super long of a tunnel. So I'm like, it's fine, right? And my mom goes through first, and she takes kind of a while, and I'm like, man, she's kind of slow, right? And then I hand my backpack to her through there, and I'm like about to crawl through, and I start crawling. And this tunnel was so tiny. I couldn't even crawl like normal on my hands and knees. Like, it wasn't even big enough for that. So I had to kind of like crawl a little bit lower than that, but I couldn't quite like figure out how to do that. So I kept like falling over in the tunnel. And then like also for some reason I had my hair down. So I kept stepping on my hair while trying to go through. And then the people behind us caught up to us again. So they were all waiting for me to go through. And I was like struggling through this little short tunnel. And I was like, I just kept saying like, why is this worse than the climbing, right? Also, again, this flippin' tunnel, the ground wasn't flat. So, like, pretty sure I gave myself a lot of bruises just from crawling through this tunnel, because the ground, like, was painful, right? And, like, I really thought my hands were going to be all cut up from all of this, but surprisingly, my hands did not get cut up. But yeah, my knees, that hurt. And I finally make it through. And then again, I hear the guys behind me trying to go through. And then I get the story of how they ended up there. And one of them's like, you never told us this was part of it. And all like, you didn't tell us about all that climbing either. You know, like you failed to mention that. And I'm like, oh, like I see what's happening, right? And it was also funny to me because like, I was like, that is kind of similar to what I tried to do. I was like, yeah, you know, it's just a normal hike. Like, it's only like a mile and a half long. Like, it's not that hard, right? I was also trying to recruit people. I did, though, do a bunch of research about this hike, and I told my mom about it. So, you know, my mom wasn't surprised, but I thought it was pretty funny. They were all, like, complaining the entire time behind us. I was like, hey, you know? But yeah, and then towards the end, I was just, like, totally wiped out from all the climbing, you know? And, but eventually, like, after, I think, like, the tunnel was one of the last things we did, and then we finally got to the end, and then you had to climb up a ladder, and then we had to walk all the way back. But honestly, the walk back, I didn't even care we had to walk all the way back. Usually on a hike, I'm like, oh my god, we gotta walk back, right? But like, this time, just being out of that, like, cave, you know, like, it was crazy being in, like, the pitch black, right? And then going outside, and it was just, like, in the middle of the day, you know, like, it was all light again. I was like, what? And then, like, walking on, like, nice, cushy, like, forest ground after walking on those, like, hard, jagged rocks, you know, was so nice. And by the way, I think this hike, we were in the cave for, like, 3 hours or something. And then, like, the walk back was maybe, like, 30 minutes. So it wasn't, like, that bad. But honestly, like, I had no idea how long it was going to take because I heard, like, a lot of people, it took different amounts of time when I was looking it up. We went pretty slow because of all the climbing. I was going, like, super slow because I didn't want to, like, fall or something. But yeah, so that's what I did this week. It was pretty cool. I feel like I can actually call myself a hiker now. Like, I did that. I'm a little proud. It's pretty fun, too. It was also nice because it was so, like, cold in the caves. And I really hate doing, like, active stuff in the summer just because of how hot it is. I don't like it. I definitely prefer to go hiking in, like, the fall, you know, when it's a little bit cooler. So, hopefully it'll be cooler soon so I can enjoy hiking again. So I hope you enjoyed my little story time because I had no idea what I was going to talk about in this voiceover. And I hope you like this painting too. It is definitely the best landscape that I've ever done. It's not perfect. Since I'm kind of new to landscapes, I don't really know how to do this yet, but I wish I could have like stylized it a little bit more. Yeah, so here is the reference photo and here is the final painting. I did add a couple little stylistic elements, but I wish I could have done more. I also wanted to say this gouache set is perfect for landscapes. When I was using it with portraits, it was a little rocky, but for this landscape, these paints were perfect and I didn't need to use any of my other gouache besides the black and the white. Thanks for watching!